Hello, welcome to Don't Toy With Me, a horror visual novel developed by Karmic Punishment, available on itch.io, and it looks interesting. It's a story about maybe a doll and her toys, something like that. It has dark themes though, because it is horror, so fair warning. Let's start. There you go. Light spills through the tiny windows of the dollhouse, casting the flecks of dust in the air. Though it's early in the morning, the inhabitants have been awake for a little while now. It's to be expected that toys wouldn't have quite the same grasp on time as you do. Is it basically like, it's like Toy Story maybe? I don't know, anyway. Wisker, you've hardly touched your tea. Her, least of all, she's an antique. You could at least pretend to drink it since I went to the trouble of making it. The stuffed rabbit sits at the table, a frown on its embroidered face. It turns its head away from the cup in defiance. Geez, you're so moody lately. I know it's not terribly fun to be stuck alone here with me, but you're not doing yourself any favors by being difficult. Don't you think we should be making the best of it?
No, I refuse. I am Wisker. I will destroy your family.
I really wish you'd let me cut you a mouse so you could at least try to hold a conversation. No, run away. The rabbit scurries off across the wooden floor and down the stairs. Dahlia sighs. It was only a suggestion. I'm not going to force you. I suppose that's another cup down the drain then. Dahlia gathers up the teacup and saucer from the floor to take down to the kitchen. The Wisker has been in the house for a while with her now. He has always been terribly skittish. The kitchen holds the rest of the tea set, always ready for the hypothetical tea party that thus far hadn't come to fruition. The rabbit wasn't about to sit at the table with her. Thinking back on it, she has trouble recalling who it was that used to sit there with her. You're listening right now, aren't you? I'm fairly certain I can hear you out there.
Alright, you have a choice. In a visual novel, what do we do? Do we tap, or do we do nothing?
Tap. The sound of large fingers gently tapping nails on the outside of the house answered her question. She smiled softly. There you are. Maybe you could join me. I'm not sure how you would fit in here with me, but I would welcome you anyway. Perhaps you could let me outside. I would sit on the roof to be closer to you. You know better than to give her way on that. The cracks in her face tell the story of a previous excursion outside of the house. She is met with silence. Her smile holds patiently. For all of 10 seconds. Fine, then I won't be entertaining you either. If the urge to be reasonable finds you, I'll be reading in my room. Okay. So we were tapping, as in literally... Okay, so it is kind of like Toy Story, right? So it's kind of like, she's a sentient doll in an actual dollhouse, and we, the player, was literally tapping outside of the house, She storms out the kitchen and up the stairs. You decide to give her some time to cool off while you leave to run an errand. You have a feeling she'll lighten up when you retrieve your new purchase. The dollhouse is a little bit cleaner than it was this morning. Dahlia has spent some time dusting and picking up. She prefers her home spotless, or at least she used to. Now it seems she settles for clean enough, and she never bothers with the attic anymore. She idly straightens the decorations atop her wardrobe in her room. A heavy thump quickly undoes this. What? She turns, looking around in surprise. Hesitantly, she peers out of her bedroom door and down the stairs. Wisker is already in the foyer, investigating. What is it? She descends the stairs, delicate joints clicking with each step. She finds a large box taking up the entryway. Oh my, a present? Her eyes light up with interest, running her fingers over the wooden exterior. There's a quirk to her brow when she realizes it's cheap compressed wood. Something new then? Wisker presses his ear to the side of the box. He hops back away when he hears a cough from inside, hiding behind Dahlia. What is it? She searches around the lid, unable to quite pull it up. She finally finds the hook on the other side and undoes it from the small peg that holds the lid shut. She practically throws the lid open, a bright smile on her face. Oh, Wisker, look! It's a new friend. It's the clown. Clown, or like a jester? I guess maybe both. Is he dead? Huxley, okay. I'm not dead. Oh, good. A clown in the box hangs limply when Dahlia drags him out of the box by his shirt. She's surprised to find out that he's mostly fabric with little structure underneath. His sleeves are half empty, tied at the seams of a ruffle. All in all, his head is solid, but his body is plush. Hello, new friend. My name is Dahlia, and this is my friend Wisker. The rabbit's ears lie back, looking none too friendly. He keeps his distance. I'm sorry for all the excitement. It's just been so long since we have a new toy. Well, not had. Obviously, we don't have you. What are you actually? Oh, where on earth are my manners? Well, what do you go by, friend? No, I don't go by friend. And I'm a puppet. My name is Huxley. Would you like some soap? Huxley, how nice. And a puppet, why, that does explain it. Oh, let me take you to a chair. I should be holding you the whole time like a little bear. With Huxley comfortably situated in his chair at the table, Dahlia sits opposite him. She's all smiles, even though the clown looks so sullen. Here, have some tea. Oh, can you hold the cup? Have a silly straw. Thanks. Despite the thanks, the clown doesn't make any move to drink the tea. Are you alright, Huxley? I don't expect you to be quite as excited as me, but you look so upset. I'm not upset. But what's there to be excited for? You taking me out of the box, and here I am to sit in another box. The only difference is that I'm not the only one in this box. But that makes all the difference, doesn't it? I do enjoy watching Wisker, but he's not one for conversation. And now this won't be such a lonely place. What do you want to do? I'll show you that there's fun to be had here. I don't want anything, thanks. Oh. Well, surely that isn't true. Everyone wants something. Do you want some quiet? We could lie on the floor and watch a star projector. If that's what you'd like to do. No, we're trying to find something you want to do. You want to tell jokes? You are a clown. If you like. Did you hear about the clown car that crashed out in the middle of nowhere? There were 30 casualties. I don't think I get that one. I'll try again. What do you get when you boil clown? A laughing stock. Oh, that's funny. It's a pun, get it? Clown soup. I bet it would have polka dots too. Let me try. A clown named... how you pronounce that? Pajusi? A clown named Pajusi goes to a therapist. Oh, darn it, I messed it up. You're a funny lady, Dahlia. Oh, you smiled. Oh, don't stop just because I pointed it out. I'll start getting the idea you're determined to sulk. I'm starting to get the idea that you're determined to sulk. Sorry. I just haven't told any jokes in a while. No audience unless I got brought out just for that. So I stopped. What's the point? The point of telling jokes? The point of coming up with jokes if I only get to tell them when someone gives me the time of day. I don't like being a puppet. The only choice I get is to not participate. So I started doing that, opting out. Oh, so you just don't do anything? Nothing I don't want to do. Which I don't want to do much lately, so... kind of. He looks uncomfortable at the direction of the conversation. It's clear he hasn't had to explain himself at length before, especially with so withdrawn from everything. Dahlia, on the other hand, is clearly mulling this idea over in her head. Do you think you'll want to do more if you could get around better on your own? Since then, you could go where you like and not have to wait for someone to bring you there. That would make things easier for me. No offense, but I don't think I want you stitching anything onto me if that's what you're thinking. Huh? Why? Are you just assuming I'll be bad at it? I choose to keep my answer to myself. That wasn't what I was thinking about anyway. Wait here for just a moment. I'll try not to go anywhere. Dahlia leaves the kitchen, hurrying off back to the foyer. She stands near the box Huxley arrived in and looks up, and her gaze aimless as though she isn't quite sure where to look. Hello up there. I imagine you're still watching, yes? Thank you for sending me a new friend. I know I've asked for one a lot, but I'm afraid I need to ask for something else. I'm sorry for asking so soon after receiving this gift, but it isn't for me, so I hope that might make up for it. So, do you think perhaps you could give me something to help Huxley move? Perhaps wheels, or a wooden skeleton? Or maybe both. A wheel skeleton, maybe. One that does multiple hits in a combo and stun locks you. I mean, there's no choice really, but I guess I'll help. Yeah? You suppose there couldn't be any harm in it, in interacting with these magical toys that talk and have sentience? Don't worry about it. If the puppet is really so broken that it can't even keep her company, it doesn't do much good, does it? It will have to be a modification so simple that even the toys can figure it out, though. You have an idea. Surely, with only a single item to work, she'll understand what needs to be done. Or to work with, rather. You place your gift in the box Huxley had arrived in. Dahlia looks on in surprise as she sees a large spring in the box. Oh, yes, this is perfect. Thank you so much. She eagerly plucks her prize from the container, needing both hands to carry it. It's as long as her legs at the very least. Seeing as it's a bit unwieldy, perhaps it isn't the best idea to bring it near the tea set. She ends up leaving it behind and fetching Huxley instead. It takes the pair a few minutes to figure out the logistics of the attachment, but in the end, it is sewn securely to the opening of Huxley's body. He takes a moment to get used to balancing on the spring. Alright, that's just his life now. This is certainly different. I think I'm getting the hang of it, though. The stairs will take some practice. That's what the railing is for, at least until you get better at jumping. Perhaps soon you'll be able to leap from the landing to the upper doorway in one go. She laughs at the idea, but he seems to be very seriously considering it. Perhaps so. Everything else is upstairs, right? What about the back room? More stairs, unfortunately. That's a doorway to the attic. What's up there? More stairs? The ceiling, silly. And some old odds and ends. Some things just don't really have a place in this house. But they still have to go somewhere. Perhaps we could eventually convert it into a bedroom for you. Your cruelty knows no bounds, Lady Dahlia. Making a man able to jump, then putting him in a room with a low ceiling. I didn't mean... I know. I'm only teasing you. For someone who kept wanting me to lighten up, you sure aren't good at recognizing a joke. Oh, don't tease me. But I'm happy to see you're in much better spirits. I am. I've never had something like this. Though, is this really okay? What do you mean? Nothing. I didn't like being a puppet, so I don't know why I should feel odd about becoming something else. Like a jack-in-the-box? I would never. I mean to say, I'm not getting back in that box. Of course not, but you'll have to sleep somewhere. And as I suppose the box can stay in the foyer, we could make it into a table or use it as a chest. I just don't want to have to carry it up in the attic, huh? Whatever you want to do with it, it's not mine. But yeah, I guess this makes me a jack out of the box. Which I'd also never do. Dahlia tilts her head in confusion once more. Huxley spares her any explanation of the joke, because if you explain it, it's not a joke anymore. I'm actually feeling a little fidgety now. I think I want to give the stairs a try. Will you show me the rest of the house if I make it up? Of course, and if you can't, I'll carry you up. I'll make it up even if I have to drag myself up. Just, maybe go stand out of the way just in case. Well, with some time and effort, and, what's it called? Backwards long jumps, up the stairs, and a couple of paintings knocked off the wall, Huxley manages to make his way up the stairs. He just speed runs through the wall. Dahlia feels perhaps a few new cracks were added to her face from the worry with which she watched when he twice spilled backwards down the stairs. Luckily, the clown was not so delicate as she was. He bounced like rubber. Perhaps that's what he was made of. The thought remains in her mind that she'll have to remind her new friend that she's much more fragile than he is. But for now, she hurries up after him to congratulate him and show him around the upper floor. The linen closet isn't exactly a room, but it's important to show regardless. The bathroom is of slightly more importance, of course, though perhaps less important than it would have been in a real house. I mean, do they need to pee as like toys? I don't know. Do they have like a stomach? Huxley notes a lingering smell of paint and powders in the bathroom. It must be where Dahlia touches up her face. And lastly, Dahlia brings him into her bedroom. I don't think I've ever had anyone in here before. Well, aside from Wisker. You don't think so? Where's that little guy anyway? I kind of expected him to join us for the tour. Oh, don't mind him. He's so jumpy these days. I couldn't even tell you why. Perhaps he's less confident without other plush animals around. Did there used to be more? I can't seem to recall. I know I knew a teddy bear once. Perhaps he was a friend of Whisker's. She frowns, brows furrowed in concentration. Huxley watches on with concern. Is remembering things a regular problem for you, Dahlia? In a sense, I suppose it is. Very little changes in the house, so the days tend to blend together. If I have trouble remembering something, I'd be hard-pressed to know whether it's due to forgetfulness, or perhaps it happened longer ago than I realize. I've recently started writing in my journal again, though, so that should help with the more recent days. I wasn't sure where it was for a while, so I'll have to make really good use of it now that I have it again. Yeah? Sounds like a plan. And if I get curious, I could always read up on what I missed before I got here. Absolutely not. I kept it locked, so you couldn't even if you wanted to. Just another joke, Dahlia. I wouldn't read your diary. You better not. Now, what was I going to show you in here? Oh, I wanted to show you here my wardrobe. I keep my dresses here, but it's full of many games as well. What kind of games? Do you have like Elden Ring, You have a PlayStation 5? You can feel free to help yourself to any of them if you find yourself looking for something to play. I have my bookcase in here as well. I have all the classics. Like, I was gonna say, I don't know, I was just trying to think of like a random manga, like a classic manga, or I don't know, Attack on Titan, or I don't know. All the classics, Attack on Titan, I don't know, I can't think of a manga. I'm really bad just remembering like manga off the top of my head. I mean, that's why I keep a list, I can make like a list. Like a website. Anyway. Pride and Prejudice, The Little Princess, Hans Christian Andersen's Fairy Tales Collection. Quite the collection, Dahlia. Are you teasing me again? Oh yeah, Berserk. It's funny, I actually never really got into Berserk. I mean, people always say it's like very good and all that. I don't know what it is, but when I saw some pages of Berserk, like, I didn't like it because there was just too much detail, actually. Like, people praise it for like having a lot of detail, I think, or something like that. I don't know. It was like only one page really, but I saw like a very like detailed page of like, it's like a 2-page fold of like Guts, holding a sword, and like he's in the middle of battle, and it's like bam, 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 fighting, and like it just overwhelmed my eyes, and I don't like that for some reason. So that's why I never got into Berserk. I don't know, something about that. There's also another manga that is recommended. What is it called? I think it's called Dollhouse or something. They had like a similar art style where they kind of do this thing where they add so much details on each page, where I don't like it. I don't know why. Something to do with that, but I don't like it. Anyway, that's just me complaining. Never checked the manga, but the anime is right. Well, depends on which one. You mean the old one or the the CG one? Because I remember everyone dunking on the CG version. Anyway, talking about no, they're just very you. Teasing me again. Oh no, that's Huxley saying that. No, they're just very you. Yeah, about the books. About her manga collection. Huh? Except that one. What is this? The complete short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. A little bit of a gothic at heart, are you? I did say I love the classics. What about you, Mr. Know-It-All? You're making yourself sound rather well-read. I've just heard my share of. Why don't I keep. I've just heard my share of bedtime stories in my day. And the others, I've heard a little of it in homework form. I have to say, as maybe the most bookish kind of guy. Except maybe joke books. Well, in your words, that's very you. There's no shame in it, but I warn you that you will eventually want to do some reading. Beggars can't be choosers for entertainment in this house. We have no internet, you know? It's horrible. Though I'd be happy to read to you. I can see it now. I'll let you know if I have trouble falling asleep here, then maybe I can use it. Well, it's refreshing to see Dahlia looking so lively again after so much time spent by herself in the dollhouse. She's had her problems in the past getting along with other toys. The clown seems to be a good choice. Entertaining as a jester should be, but not so energetic that he would impose upon her lifestyle. She considers herself to be an elegant lady after all, and some wild fool would certainly find themselves met with friction when it came to living with her. Hopefully they continue to get along. In the following days, they seem to adjust well enough. They play their games and have their tea together, and even Wisker seems to be more at ease with Huxley there. It's a point of concern in some ways. Hopefully the rabbit doesn't come to be too affectionate with the clown. But for now, it's happy days within the dollhouse. You find yourself watching them regularly. Today, they've got an attic to improve Huxley's sleeping area. Okay. Strange context, by the way, that we're just this person, I guess, just watching these sentient toys live their lives, you know, and it's our entertainment, I think. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry we don't have a better place to keep a lot of these things, though I'm happy the bed is finally seeing some use. It's not too bad. The spiders have been keeping me company at night. Spiders? Well, probably just little mites. I've wondered about some of the things you keep up in here, though. Don't just change the subject after mentioning spiders. Are there really spiders up here? No, I was only joking, Dahlia. Well, you better be. Horrible creatures. And they'll be like, they'll be incredibly big, you know, compared to their size, I assume. Now, what were you wondering about? Well, I noticed some of the things seem out of place here. The painting, sure, they make sense for you to have. But there are some old brass knickknacks in here that don't look like any of your other stuff. Like this big brass horse head. Oh, it's a knight. But you're right, it doesn't look familiar. And there's some old clothing up here. Oh, really? Or, I don't know, I read that weird. Oh, I really haven't cleaned up here in some time, but I didn't think there was anything but spare decor items. What sort of clothing is it? Well, I found some bow ties. Like the formal kind, not like my ribbon. And no offense to our dearest lady, Dahlia, but they wouldn't really suit you. Do they belong to Wisker? No, Wisker doesn't really have many belongings to speak of. Wisker shakes his head to confirm this. He only has a little bed in my room and a few little toys of his own. Though half the time he seems to prefer playing with balled up paper more than the things I make for him. One doll's trash is a rabbit's treasure. I'm almost certain that's not how that phrase goes. Well, in any case, they seem like men's clothes to me. Though I did see some old hairbrushes and things as well. Not ones that match your sets, though. Do you think some of this was left from whoever lived in the house before you? I suppose that's possible. Though it seems stranger to me that the owner wouldn't remove such things before placing me here. Maybe the owner hoped for a more masculine doll. I'm sure I'm exactly what they're hoping for. They've had me this long, after all. Well, the owner doesn't seem to be interested in doing much to your home regardless, so maybe they didn't bother with this. Or they're using your storage for their extra things. Oh, I hadn't considered that. And they get quiet at times, but that doesn't mean they lack interests. They love me. And I love them too. You two should get a room then. Or I guess a house. Oh hush, there's no need to be jealous, Huxley. I'm sure they love you too. You wouldn't be living here if they didn't find something appealing about you. It must have been my sparkling personality then. Perhaps it was. Right. Well, I don't have any doubts that they're just tossing me in here for your sake if they really love you so much. How do you mean? Well, you've told me a few times just how lonely it is here without someone to have conversations with. And here I am. Well, I am happy you're here, but I doubt it's just for me. It's all the same to me. So long as they leave me be, I'm just fine. Oh, that's just silly, Huxley. I know you'd enjoy their attention if you got it.
Doubt it.
Such a sourpuss. I suppose we'll find out the next time they do decide to check in on us regardless. I'll be holding my breath until then. Do you breathe? Do you creatures even have lungs? The conversation comes to a stop as the pair goes back to cleaning, but it leaves you with some thinking to do. It has been a little time since you initially purchased the clown, so you've had a little time to get to know more about him. More so than you could have known, taking him off of the shelf. At this point, okay, you get to choose your waifu or your husbando. I guess, sort of. I don't know. Guess I'll just choose Dahlia for now. She seems to be the default choice to me. You still feel Huxley's better suited as something of a distraction for Dahlia. Flawed little thing that she is, you wouldn't have kept her this long if you didn't have some attachment to her, especially with how poorly she gets along with other toys. She's quite lucky that even though she's so much trouble, you have quite the sentimental view of her. Hopefully, the clown learns his place with time and stops bringing down the mood for her. If not, you could always make some adjustments. That's ominous. But nothing can last forever. It's clear enough the honeymoon phase is coming to an end by the argument you find already in progress when you check in on the house today. Huxley, you picked out our game 3 times in a row. We're gonna play what I want to do today. You literally offered me to let me choose. You can't say you don't care what we play and then take it back because you don't like what I picked. I didn't know you were gonna pick the worst one. I said that. The worst one? You seemed fine with it the other day. Fine. Let's play this one instead. You like Parlor Detective, don't you? Are you serious? I'm just more in the mood for a word game. So you did have a specific game in mind. I didn't realize which one I wanted until now. It's not as though I planned to argue with you. Could have fooled me. You're so sour, Huxley. I'll get the game set up while you're over there sulking. You'll feel better once we start playing. Hey, Wisker, what do you make of this? The rabbit looks up from his place on the little pet bed on the floor. He seems uneasy at being addressed in the middle of their tiff. Wisker doesn't even talk, Huxley. I know you're playing some joke. Wisker, do you think Dahlia already started the game without me? I'm still setting it up. Because I'm starting to think we're playing charades, or ESP tester. Or maybe just mind games. I don't think expecting you to take me at my word requires you to be psychic. The only funny thing about this is how silly you're acting over some board games. Yeah, well maybe I'm not in the mood for your kind of game. So you're pitching a fit over not getting your way? Heh, that's rich. No, if you just said what you wanted from the beginning, I wouldn't care. Honestly, if you wanted to watch paint dry and you were serious about it, that'd be fine with me. But I'd rather drink paint than get jerked around. Okay. And enjoy the taste of your new colors. I'm not in the mood to play anymore. Dahlia shoves the little letter tabs and the game board back into the box she'd been removing them from. Even Huxley looks a little bit surprised at his reaction, but primarily he looks irritated. It's odd to see him so worked up. Though he's been more lively since Dahlia helped him get back on his feet, it's rare to see him feel so strongly about anything. The general state of Inui he carries himself with leaves little room for such emotional outbursts. Not beyond a sarcastic remark anyway. So seeing him like this, it's a little worrisome. Once the game is put away, Dahlia moves to push him along toward the door, meeting resistance when she does. What are you doing? We're not going to be playing anything now, so I want some time to myself. Get out of my room. How mature of you, Miss Dahlia. This is how quickly has this relationship deteriorated. Really befitting a lady of your caliber. Out! The clown finally exits the room and she slams the door behind him. With him gone, she sighs and presses her back to the door. It takes her a few moments, but she gathers herself and straightens out her dress and then her hair. When she looks around and sees Whiskers no longer in the room either, she sits down on her bed and takes up her diary and pen from her dresser. I swear, I can't count on anyone to just be civil. She begins to write. You decide to leave her to her personal writing. The next morning, you decide to check in on the dollhouse to make sure things have cooled off from the day before. Dahlia is waiting in the kitchen, presumably for the other toys. She seems to be lost in thought. The distant look leaves her face when Huxley enters the room. You can tell by his expression he's wary of what she might say to him. Presumably, they haven't spoke since their fight. It's probably good that you're here to watch them just in case. Good morning, Dahlia. His tone is flat, cautious perhaps. Good morning, Huxley. Dahlia's greeting is chipper. Her tone sing-song as though she doesn't even recall the fight before. The clown is caught off guard for a moment by this, but regains his composure. I was just waiting to make breakfast. I assume Wisker won't be joining us, but that's alright. I'll leave us some leftovers for him. What will we be having today? You're leaving it to me to choose. Oh, sorry, I wasn't asking you. She must mean you then. Oh, asking me? Do you toys even eat? As I mentioned before, do you even have stomachs to digest this food? I don't know. Does this choice even matter? Have some oatmeal. Yeah. Actually, no, I don't know if it matters. It's oatmeal. You flip open one of the cupboards with the tip of your finger. The little canister of oats falls into the counter. Huxley looks deeply uncomfortable from the moment your hand enters the dollhouse to when it disappears from his sight. He lets out a slow breath as soon as your hand is gone from his view. Though the interaction is very brief, you have a feeling that you've unnerved him greatly. It's normal to be intimidated by the presence of being so much larger than oneself, but you aren't used to getting this kind of reaction from a toy. Aren't they supposed to like their owners? Well, I mean, he was a puppet, I guess. So maybe his previous owner, just shoved his hand up there the whole time. And I don't know. Well, how irritating. I guess we just find that irritating, though. We'll have oatmeal then. Do you like yours with brown sugar with fruit, Huxley, or both? I'll have it however you have it. How can you tell when they're here anyway? You ask so readily. Oh, I ask every day. You usually sleep in, though, Mr. Lazybones. Lazy no bones? Yeah, well, I was having trouble sleeping, so I'm up early. Oh, let's have some chamomile tea before bed tonight, then. I'm sure you'll sleep well then. Yeah, but that's for later. For now, I'll put on some black tea for you, and I'll make our oatmeal. You just sit at the table. All right. Thanks, Dahlia. He does as he's told. It's not lost on you that it was definitely not a request. The troubled look on his face says that he knows that as well. But breakfast is well underway, and the two seem to be getting along well enough, so you leave them be so they can enjoy their morning in peace. Your hopes that the toys wouldn't need much more supervision to keep getting along turn out to be a little too optimistic. You find yourself regularly checking in on them when you hear arguments breaking out in the dollhouse. Despite Huxley's originally harsh demeanor toward Dahlia when she would snap at him, you find he's becoming more and more upset by these developments. You never really took him for the emotional type, and you're not sure what to make of it, but Dahlia is convinced that he has only crocodile tears for her. Even if so, you find yourself worried about the state of the dollhouse if they continue to bicker this way. You only brought Huxley in as a way to keep her entertained and to provide her some company that would actually talk to her, but you're starting to wonder if that was the right decision. The mood in the house has become unhospitable, and you sometimes find yourself considering separating the two by adding an extra wall to divide the dollhouse. But that would hardly be a practical solution. Like every other day, you find yourself checking on the dollhouse when it becomes too quiet. You need to see what the two inside are up to. You see Dahlia is currently having some tea in the kitchen by herself. She seems fairly content, but you did hear another fight earlier. You check the attic for Huxley next, expecting to find him moping by himself after another rough day. But he's not there. What is he doing in there? You watch in silence. Wisker rests on the pet bed in the room, and his head turns to look at the clown as he crosses the room. Huxley brings an arm up to his own face and mimes I was gonna say a sussing noise. No, that's not it. Mimes a shushing noise. Okay, why can't I say that? Mimes a shushing noise. A little bit difficult to do without fingers, but the rabbit seems to understand. He lays his head back down, and Huxley continues across the room. I mean, he is acting a little suspicious. He lingers at the bookshelf, bending down to examine the spine of each entry there. He checks the board games as well. Not finding what he was looking for, he heads to the dresser next. His eyes wander over the basket of flowers and the clutter of small desk items Dahlia keeps there. A little notepad with a list of chores and repairs to be made sits on top. He leafs through this, but drops it back in place once he sees how mundane its contents are. His lips tighten in discomfort. He slowly opens the first drawer of the dresser. He shuts it much more quickly than he opened it. At least you can be sure he wasn't looking for the contents of that one. Okay, is it her panties or something? I don't know. He opens the next one and this time reaches inside. Dahlia's diary. He closes the drawer and leaves the room, heading right back up to the attic with his findings. Wisker gives a worried frown from his position on the pet bed. This is a bad idea. The lock on the diary is a minor obstacle. He simply uses a small knife from the kitchen to cut it as close to where it attaches the book as possible. It can just be glued back into place. Huxley opens the book and sits it on one of the dusty boxes so he can more easily read it and turn the pages. His touch is careful, aware of how suspicious it would be for any of the diary's pages to be ripped. Again, kind of hard to do. Doesn't he have, not have hands? So, kind of weird to do. Though he notices right away some of the older ones are missing. You originally had taken those out for Dahlia, but now you're glad you did it for an entirely different reason. You never thought about other toys snooping. Alright. 19 Dear Diary. I can't seem to find my old journal, so we'll be starting fresh. But it is a lovely day for such fresh starts. Rose finished another painting today for the foyer. The results are beautiful. She is such a talent with paint. I wish that I could make anything half as lovely. Okay. Someone named Rose? I can at least say I provide something in return since I'm working on a new dress for her. I do hope that she likes it. Dear Diary. I've asked for some flowers to put up some arrangements around the house. Since Rose paints so many flowers, I'm sure she would like some for her still lifes as well. I'm not sure why I'm bothering though, with how difficult she's been lately. It seems like she disagrees with me just for the sake of it, even though on the littlest things, I'm not going to say anything to her about it, but I wish she would stop regardless. Honestly, I think she's jealous of me. It's the only thing I can think of. Rose used to be so sweet, but now it's like walking on glass to be around her. Or is it eggshells? Well, either way, she needs to stop picking fights with me. Our owner is only excited by her because she's something new enough to still be a novelty. If she thinks that means she's better than me, her wooden head is as empty as it sounds when the wind blows through the house. What? A crude drawing of a doll's head, with wind blowing one ear and out the other, adorns the next page. Okay. A couple after that are removed. Dear Diary. I'm terribly lonely here. I think the owner sent Rose away due to my complaints. I haven't seen her in days, and they won't answer me as to her whereabouts. Or has it been weeks? I'm not sure anymore. I suppose it can't have been days since I'm having difficulty remembering exactly when we last spoke, even picturing her face. I wish she had left behind some self-portraits. I miss her dearly. Huxley frowns and skips ahead past many pages of mundane daily goings on around the empty house. They range from cheerfully recountings of craft projects to desperate letters to no one expounding her loneliness. Alright, now it's the 2000s. Dear Diary. A new home with new faces. I was able to bring a few things with me, but it feels quite frightening all the same. Luckily, Lucille has been a very gracious host. She shares everything with me with an eagerness that tells me she's been as lonely as I have in these past years. Though I don't enjoy sleeping in the attic, it's rather eerie up here. I feel terribly out of place. Okay. A new home. Strange. So it's as if she entered this new house, even though she was here before, or probably means something else. But anyway, maybe if I wish hard enough, I'll return to the home I know. Huxley eyes the old bed frame that now holds his own bed. He just assumed Dahlia had always lived here and it was her home. Okay, yeah. Maybe she was from somewhere else before, now she moved in here. Lucille is not what I thought she was. She's so cruel when she wants to be. Today we sat on the roof together to see the stars. She pushed me. The owner doesn't believe me. They replaced the arm that was damaged, but my face can't be quite restored. My eye. I feel so broken beyond that, though. Perhaps I'm just very unlucky, but nothing ever quite works out in my favor. If I convince the owner of what Lucille did, perhaps they'll actually do something. But until then, I think I'll just be avoiding her, lest I say something that would further prevent any sort of peaceful resolution. Your diary. She deserved it. They wouldn't have done that if she didn't. Okay. The puppet stares the pages, chewing his lip and looking deep in thought. He leads through the next quiet stage of Dahlia's life until he finds another name. 2010s now, dear diary. After so long, the owner has given me a new friends. Theodore and Wisker are a delightful little pair. I would never say so to them, but I'm a little disappointed the owner didn't think to bring me a doll like myself. But Theodore is still a kindly gentleman, even if he's rather fuzzy. And Whiskers knows so many tricks. Such an agile little thing. I'm sure we're gonna get along grandly. This section seems to be missing most of the pages. There are areas where even Dahlia writes about her frustration of her diary being tampered with, and how often she finds herself confused about past events the other toys discuss of her. Eventually, Huxley finds in the newer pages that Theodore's name simply isn't mentioned again, not even in memoir fashion as when Dahlia lamented the loss of her initial friend. Huxley finds the more recent entries as he seeks the point where he initially arrived. Okay, 2020s. Finally a friend. A new friend who might be as sad as me, but at least he speaks. At least it's not only me now. At least I can look at his face and recognize him. I started to think perhaps the owner hated me. They placate me with gifts, but they never let me out anymore. And I know they have other toys. I can see them from the window, working on their projects. Okay, so there's other toys in the area. It's just like this is a crazy theory, but it's just like Santa's workshop or something. I don't know. So is the player Santa Claus? I don't know. That's just the first thing I think of. Like a magical workshop of magical toys. I don't know. Only just barely. I don't understand what I'm seeing, but I know that that's what they're working with. Unnoble things, but noble faces. If Huxley hadn't arrived, I don't know what I would have done. I was at my wit's end, but finally things are normal again. 2020? Dear Diary. Huxley is a curious fellow. I rather appreciate the humor he brings to the house, even if I wish Wisker wouldn't look at him quite so interestingly. Wisker ignores me when he can. But I'm happy to share my books and my time with Huxley. I don't know if he understands our situation quite the same way that I do, but he likely already knows that there won't be more toys added to this home after him. Unless one of us were to be replaced, of course, but I wouldn't let that happen. Wouldn't let either of us be replaced, or wouldn't let herself be replaced. The rest of this is just about the things we've done together, though she does kind of talk about me like she thinks I'm stupid or something. Huxley frowns and finally closes the diary. This was a waste of time. And now I have to fix the strap, too. I remember seeing some glue in Dahlia's scrapbooking supplies. I'll just use that. He leaves the attic to return the book to his original hiding place in the bedroom. Dahlia is already there. Why are you acting like that, Wisker? You funny little bunny. You never tried to play with my things before. Now give my hairbrush back. Come. Huh? Huxley tries haphazardly to hide the book behind his loose sleeves.
Hey, Dahlia.
Hello, Huxley. Did you need something?
No, it was really quiet up in the attic.
Oh, isn't it always, though? She smiles, amused by what sounds to be her like a very silly excuse to come find her. I was just brushing my hair, until Whisker stole my brush. Silly little thing. Whisker tenses as Dahlia reaches for him. He squeaks as she picks him up by the scruff.
Dahlia, be careful.
That looks very uncomfortable for him. Oh, he's just being dramatic. He always is when I pick him up. She tugs on the brush in Whisker's paws. Huxley finally catches on to why the rabbit is acting so strange. He tries to inch closer to the dresser while Dahlia is occupied with Whisker. The book slides right out of his grip and onto the floor where he tries to lean over towards the dresser. Well, he just had to mess it up. You had one job, Huxley. Dahlia drops Whisker, her eyes trailing right down to her diary lies on the floor. She looks stunned, but only for a moment. What are you doing? Dahlia, That's my private writing. What's wrong with you? Coming to my room and stealing things, you horrible creature. I had a reason, okay? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. What reason could you possibly have for rifling through my drawers and violating my privacy? I share everything with you, Huxley. I should at least have my own thoughts to myself. I wanted to know what was going on in your head. You've been getting really mean with me lately. So I thought I'd just see what was I doing wrong. If it was me or you, or if I was doing something that was upsetting you, I should have just talked to you about it. You're accusing me of being mean when you stole it from me. Just how have I mistreated you, Huxley? This is my home, and I'm sharing it with you. I make you food and play games with you. I even fixed you. I wasn't broken, you know. And that's part of it. You do things for me, but then you act like I owe you. Like you're counting how many favors you're giving me to turn in later. Plus, you get so angry about everything if it doesn't go your way. I don't want to feel like I have to watch every little thing I say or you'll get upset. You have an awful attitude, Huxley. What am I supposed to say? Being upset by your rude behavior isn't unreasonable. Disagreeing with you isn't rude. So is stealing not rude either? I already apologized. If the things I do for you make you feel so awful, then I don't think I should do anything for you anymore. You ingrate? You're being ridiculous about this. Coming from a clown. Maybe you're right. Maybe you weren't broken before like I thought. Maybe you're just made wrong in the first place. Dahlia cups her hands around her mouth and looks up at the ceiling. You can take your spring back. We don't want it anymore. Dahlia, get rid of it. Get out of my house. Stop it. Huxley shoves Dahlia backwards, causing her to stumble. She trips over Wisker, who scurries to try to get out of the way, and there's a quiet crack when she hits the ground. Huxley stares at her with her eyes wide. I didn't mean... You decide you've seen enough of this. Wait! You scoop the clown out of the dollhouse as Dahlia picks herself back up. You can see her limp as she steps forward, likely some minor leg damage. You'll have to fix that. As for Huxley, clearly giving him equal footing to Dahlia in the home was a mistake. You carefully tear out the sections of fabric that keep the spring in place in the puppet's body. Once it's done, you set the metal piece aside. It's what she asked for, after all, and in this case, you're inclined to agree with her. You gently place Huxley back in the dollhouse. Just plop him back in. His breathing is heavy and his body trembles as he lies on the floor, unwilling to get back up just yet. He's so sensitive about any sort of contact with you. Pitiful, really. We have no compassion for this clown. Dahlia brushes off her dress and frowns down at him on the ground. He looks back at her with glossy eyes. Dahlia. Huxley's expression betrays the level of hurt he's feeling. Even beyond the physical change, there is clearly an incredibly deep betrayal in his eyes. What? You got by without it before? But since you think my input doesn't matter anymore, there's no reason to keep using the thing I decided to give you, right? You'll figure something out all by yourself. Unless you decide to take back what you said, and plead with me for forgiveness. Huxley's expression darkens and he goes quiet. The silence hangs thickly in the air, stifling the mood in the room. Wisker looks uneasy despite the look not being directed at him. He's quick to leave the room. Well? Dahlia, if you really think you're right about this, your face isn't the only thing that's correct. The doll's eyes widen as she shoots the clown an incredulous, infuriated look. Is that so? I guess I'll be taking the attic back as well. You came with a room anyway, didn't you? You can sleep in that box. How about you give me your bed instead? Since you have to sleep in mine, you want to keep me out of it. You're so ridiculous. I thought we were friends, but your jealousy clearly is too much for you to overcome. It's such a pity. Why couldn't you just play nicely, Huxley?
I was playing nice. That was my mistake.
Just watch yourself if you're thinking about getting mean with me, Harlequin. You know our other friend would be quick to punish you if you raised a hand to me. Huxley's eyes search the room, passing over the ceiling, the windows. He knows you're watching, which he should. He's just like, again, it's this weird, like, meta thing, you know? We're the ones in control. Technically. You don't want him getting any ideas, considering you already had to confiscate the spring. And just like that, he seems to lose all energy.
You're right. It's pointless.
So why don't you just crawl in your box? Huxley says nothing as he leaves the room, having to pull himself along on the floor. When he reaches the stairs, Wisker at least helps him along once he's sure Dahlia can't see. Dahlia, on the other hand, is looking pleased with herself, despite the edge of sourness still affecting her mood. Honestly, can you believe the nerve of him? I do so much for him, he decides to treat me like this in my own home. Clearly, he forgot whose house this is. I should have expected much sense from a clown anyway. Thank you for looking out for me. I knew you would. We've been through so much together. I love you, my dear. When you check in on Huxley, he really has returned to his box, curled up inside, much like when you first put him in the house. You imagine that he'll get over his mood with enough time. Hopefully he comes back out with a new attitude as well. You expected a little better when you chose him, honestly. And in any case, you're glad that the little problem has been taken care of. He's in just solitary confinement until further notice. Later in the evening, a surprisingly loud sound draws your attention back to the dollhouse. Uh-oh. You check the foyer first. The large mirror near the attic door remains intact. Huxley doesn't seem to be in the box anymore. He must have snuck back up to the attic to sleep. No, well, he doesn't seem to be present here either. It appears the picture frame in the room also wasn't a source of noise as still in one piece. You already saw into the kitchen from the entryway and it was completely dark. So that leaves... You decide to check Dahlia's room. Though it's unlikely she does have decorative windows. Or if she does have a decorative window, it will be possible to break, as well as various glass knickknacks. It looks like she's awake as well, as you see a dark shape on her bed. Closer to the bed, you realize there's something lying on the floor. The brass knife piece? From the attic. You're putting off the inevitable. You finally move the curtains of Dahlia's bed to look in on her. You're here already. Nice eyeball on the bed. I kind of expected you to see you in the morning. Or I kind of expected to see you in the morning, rather. Whoopsie. I guess this is a little awkward for you, isn't it? You look at Dahlia's remains on the bed. One of her glass eyes rests on the comforter. You painstakingly replicate her original one after she was first damaged. Now there isn't even a face to house it. She's only porcelain, but somehow the sight of her head completely disfigured like this still feels horribly cruel. You're probably still looking at her, right? You spoiled her, you know. It's pretty awful of you to put me in this position, but maybe worse for her. I can't imagine someone gets to be in her position without being enabled in some ways. Maybe that's why she couldn't get along with anyone before me. But hey, you have a new favorite now, right? Even if you hate me, I'm the only one now. Or do you only like pretty little dolls? Oh, I didn't do anything to Wisker. I haven't seen him since I got the chess piece from the attic. What do you care anyway? If you liked him, you wouldn't have let Dahlia treat him like a pet. Doesn't matter now. I hope he got out. Probably gonna break me now anyway, right? Better he doesn't have to see that or see her. Say the game. Sure. I mean, I guess from the perspective of us, you know, being on Dahlia's side, sure.
You must be punished.
You're sure it's what he wants anyway. You easily take the puppet out of the dollhouse and tear him in half in your hands. His fabric body shreds with minimal effort. What a waste. Dahlia is beyond repair. Huxley was a disaster. The rabbit has completely vanished. You have to start over from scratch. You don't even know if you have it in you at this point. Perhaps you'll avoid choosing such big egos in your next project. It only causes trouble when they crave to be in control, knowing you're the only one with any control here. Well, say for instances like tonight. Even humans can't control everything. Ending 1A. You spoil her. Alright. Huh, interesting. I mean, I guess, yeah, okay, well, this is the actual... I mean, I never really thought about it, but this is the actual perspective of the player right here, you know? It's just in our room on a shelf, and we just play with these magical toys, I guess, for some reason. You know, like, I mean, in like a sci-fi setting, it would actually, you know, maybe be like a real thing, you know, where we invent like AI that would actually simulate like consciousness, but we house them in like little toys for our own little entertainment, you know? It's kind of messed up. Anyway. But let's go back over here, actually. Seems like we can have a different outcome, however, after Dahlia's face has completely new makeup, you know? Let's keep him instead. What happens if we do that? It is well and truly tempting to pick the puppet up and pop his little sculpted head right off his shoulders. But what would be the point of that? You'd have nothing left, just an empty dollhouse. You're not sure how you managed to lose control of the situation so quickly. You're only away for a little while. You shouldn't have to watch the house for every second of every day and night to avoid these kinds of disasters. You could never stop it when it happened with Dahlia. Of course, you couldn't stop it when it happened to her either. In the end, maybe it's on you for not maintaining a better balance in the household. You can't be sure. You leave the dollhouse alone for now. You may come back to check on Huxley and start the arduous task of attempting to build a connection with him. It shouldn't be impossible even if he is the difficult type. Dahlia was the difficult type too. It took a lot of work to get her to do as you wanted and involved a lot of compromising. Maybe too much compromising. If you hope to ever introduce new toys to the dollhouse again, you have to hope you've learned from your mistakes with her. The clown caught you off guard this time, but you'll soon be in control once more. Ending 1B, a new favorite. What a interesting setting, I would say, you know? And I guess it is horror, but like, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird horror where like we're the monsters in a way, you know? I don't know. Anyway, so those are like, I guess, two kind of like endings involving, you know, Dahlia getting her face smashed in. Let's see if we can get different ones. Let's see. I don't know what affects it though exactly. I can go back all the way to the beginning maybe? Let's see. What if I choose this? Silence. So this is when, in the very beginning, when she was talking to us, I think. And then she was trying to have like a tea party, but there's no one here basically again. So what if I just say nothing? She waits in the quiet of the house. Somewhere distantly, the sound of Whisker's muted footsteps detail his route up to the attic. She waits and she waits. Her posture holds stiffly, but the energy begins to leave her expression. I see. I don't know what I was expecting. I'll go mad in here alone, you know. But you'll just keep on ignoring me, won't you? I'm doing my best. You make my life so needlessly difficult. She sighs, and after adjusting her long hair into place, she turns to leave the room. There is no need to interfere with Day too much. You already have something planned for her later anyway. You leave the dollhouse alone for now. Okay. So instead of interacting with her that time, we just leave her to it. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to like, you know, not spoil her, right? Is the idea? Anyway. Alright. And, you know, Huxley got introduced. She's asking for a spring, I think. There's no other option, it seems, so just choose that. And then... let's see. I mean, this seems important, I think. Last time we chose that Dahlia remains the favorite, but maybe we say Huxley is winning you over, you know? Maybe the clown is not so bad after all. Well, it would be a lie to say that the clown wasn't growing on you. Though at first you did only bring him to the dollhouse in order to provide Dahlia with some company, he's a funny little guy in his own right. Even if not always through his jokes, you have to start thinking of some ways to make him feel more welcome in the house now that you know Dahlia will be able to get along with him. Things are fairly peaceful in the dollhouse for some time after. You check on the toys from time to time, a little more frequently than you would when it was only Dahlia and Wisker in the house. It's more active than it has been in some time, so there's more to see going on. You decide you'll be adding some new things for them from time to time to keep up this level of activity. Alright, so this is new, I guess. This is like slightly different. Try that piece in the bottom right there. Wisker leans forward against the table to move on the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. His little paw nudges it carefully down to fit within its place. Oh, okay. That's part of the red costume. That's why the color was so different. Oh, what are you two up to in here? Hey, Dahlia. Wisker was just helping me with this puzzle. I tried by myself, but you know, butterfingers. Huxley says as he extends one of his digiless stump arms before lowering it again. Oh yes, I see. I really enjoy puzzles too. You should have told me. I would be happy to help. You were reading so I didn't want to bother you about it. Plus, I think Wisker likes puzzles. The rabbit perks up at this, confirming the statement. Dahlia's demeanor changes at this. Something about this is bothering her. Wisker never wanted to do puzzles with me. He never wants to sit down on my lap like that either. Actually, where did you get this? I don't remember seeing this puzzle before. You haven't? I found it in the foyer today. I assume you left it out. I don't leave my things lying around. Oh, it must be new. How odd. The owner always brings new gifts to my attention. I guess it was for me then. I don't think it's much your style anyway. Dahlia moves a little closer to the table to look at the illustration on the puzzle's box. It features a group of circus performers putting on a show in front of a drably dressed audience. Their costumes are bright and colorful against the muted background. Okay, it looks like a very old historical painting. Is it in public domain? Maybe, I don't know. The only full character in the puzzle they put together so far is the mustachioed clown in striped tights. Yes, I suppose it would have been for you then. Something wrong, Dahlia? You can still put it together with us. Not wrong exactly, but was this the only thing in the foyer? Yeah, I didn't see anything else out of place. Well, you two enjoy your puzzle then, I suppose. I have other things to do. Like plotting my, my assassination of this clown that is stealing my owner's affection or something like that, I don't know. What's up with her, Wisker? You think she's mad at me? Ugh, I hate guessing games like this. I guess I'll just ask her about it later. Dahlia makes her way up to the attic and knocks on the ceiling of the house. Are you up there? I know you had to be here earlier. Okay, another choice. What if we play into this, actually? I mean, this is a horrible thought, but what if we play into her jealousy? What if I just say nothing? I say nothing. Sorry. You know, I'm not friends with Dahlia anymore. Huxley is my new friend, or something. You know that, meme? I know you're out there. Quit ignoring me. You're doing this on purpose. You're just trying to upset me. She's being so melodramatic, but you did somewhat expect this from her. She's never taken well to having to share attention. Though you're a little surprised, she's already noticed you giving him attention over a single small gift. He didn't even thank you or give you credit for it, so it's not as though he's going to be seeking your attention out because of a puzzle. God complex. It's intended in the game. Yeah. Well, since you don't plan on answering me, you should know I'm feeling very cross with you about this. Between leaving me alone in here for so long, and then immediately turning your attention to your new friend, I'm feeling very replaced. So I expect you to do something to make this up to me. A fragile body and a fragile heart. A porcelain drama queen exits the attic. You might consider getting her something as well to cheer her up. But at the same time, you don't want to encourage her to indulge in such dramatics every time you do something with Huxley. And you know she'll catch on if you make it a pattern. For now, you'll just have to ignore this outburst. Don't worry about it. You leave the dollhouse alone for the rest of the day. The next morning, you decide to check on the group around breakfast time. Luckily, it looks like everyone is relaxed again as they're all spending time together. Okay, so it's a quiche? A quiche? Quiche? A kawish? Quiche, Huxley. Quiche. I mean, I don't know. Actually, me, the player, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but I think it is. Quiche, right? Are you paying attention? You look ready to fall asleep. I never get up this early. My head feels empty, my body feels boneless. You don't have bones. And I'm not sure if your head is empty or not, actually. You have glass eyes like mine? Wait, you're distracting me. I'm trying to give instructions. Sorry, Lady Dahlia, please continue. Well, I was going to have you dice the vegetables for the quiche. But I'd rather not have you holding a knife while you're so tired. Why don't you mix up the eggs for me instead? I'll measure out the other ingredients for you to mix in, and you'll just have to man the mixer. Aye aye, chef. Easier for me. I'm a klutz with a knife anyway. Alright, Butterfingers. Did she take that seriously? The group gets to work on a complex breakfast dish. Dahlia works efficiently as she dices up their various vegetables into little cubes that will suit the size of the dish. She occasionally moves to check on Huxley's progress, but it seems to have things handled. Wisker hangs onto the clown's back, watching the mixture churning in the bowl and occasionally moving the lever switch when Huxley asks him to. Oh. Hello? Oh. It's kind of weird. It's just, I guess it's just it's a transition of time passing. As you watch, you start to notice how much Dahlia looks over their way, a small frown on her face. Wisker catches her eye at one point and looks away. She turns her gaze down to her cutting board. By the time everything is put together to go into the oven, she's on edge. She excuses herself from the kitchen, asking Huxley to set a timer for her on her way out. She heads to the foyer. Yep. Stepping into the foyer, Dahlia spots a handful of items on the box turntable that Huxley arrived in. A couple of colored balls, some silk handkerchief squares, also colorful, some oversized playing cards. Nothing she'd really be interested in. But there is one particularly ornate item among the group. She approaches and picks it up. Oh, what a cute little cane. I usually prefer parasols, but this is nice. Ah. As she turns the wooden cane over in her hands, she observes the metal handle at the top. It's fairly textured, made to be easy to grab without wrapping fingers all the way around it. The flat top holds a little painted disc, painstakingly etched with a decorative H. Your work is detailed. Even when working with such small materials, you are very particular in making this gift. The handcrafted cane lies splintered in half of the ground. But, I worked so hard at making that little cane, and she just breaks it. How ungrateful. Though I guess it's not for her anyway, Whoa. Ah. What was that? Nothing. Didn't I tell you to wait in the kitchen? So, I don't have to. And I was worried you were acting weird. Are those for me? Dahlia kicks the handle end of the broken cane behind her with her heel. Probably. Looks like all of it is for you. Wisker skitters across the foyer to Huxley's side, carrying the cane handle in his paws. His little plush steps went unnoticed by the larger toys in the room. Huxley takes the cane and looks to see what Dahlia was hiding. Jeez, Dahlia, what's your problem? Seriously, what did I even do? It's not you. I'm just upset with the owner right now. I was really angry and I just picked up the cane. I was so mad I just hit it against the box without thinking. It broke. It was an accident. Bull. You didn't break anything else. You only broke something that was for me. Huxley, are you crying? No. I honestly think it would I honestly didn't think it would mean so much to you. It's just a cane. It was made for me. Nobody's ever made something just for me. You have so much. But you want to take away what I've got too? It was an accident. You already admitted you thought about it. That's enough. You're very upset with Dahlia for this, so you can see Huxley is getting pretty worked up. Best to separate them for now. And put Dahlia where you don't have to look at her for a little while. But, whoop, goodbye. You put Dahlia away in her room and lock the door. You're grounded, little lady. Huxley, who was already upset by this turn of events, is terrified of seeing your hand enter the dollhouse so suddenly. There isn't much else you can do but leave him alone to calm down. Dahlia pounds on the door of her room. You can hear her voice cracking as she cries to you, threatens you, says whatever she can think of to be absolved of any guilt. She just doesn't want to take responsibility for what she did. You decide to leave her there until you're feeling less upset about what happened. Whenever that happens to be. For now, you decide to focus on making a new gift for Huxley. You hadn't expected him to be so sentimental over it. But knowing now that it's so meaningful to him, you're newly motivated to make something for him that he'll enjoy. If he's willing to accept something like that from you, even with his fear of your physical presence, it's a good first foot in the door to actually bonding with the clown. You're going to get the social link with the clown. Then on Valentine's, we cheat on Dahlia, you get like an extra scene, where you get... Anyway. But what to make? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this matters as well. Sometimes it's like multiple choices for stuff, but I don't know if it matters. A new bed, a portrait, remake the cane. Maybe a little portrait. That sounds interesting to me for some reason. Portrait. Of course. A painting of Huxley to put on the wall in the dollhouse. A portrait of a sad clown is already a classic piece of decor, so it wouldn't look particularly out of place. But more importantly, it should make Huxley really feel at home by showing him he's part of the household now. It's his home now, you see. It's something special and unmistakably his. You get to work right away. Over the next couple of days, you leave the dollhouse alone to work diligently on the portrait for Huxley. You imagine he would like some time without you looming over the house after what had happened before. However, you know that before you can present him with his portrait, you have to try to get things back to normal within the house. It's time to check on Dahlia. You find her lying on her bed, completely despondent. She's fully dressed, though you can't be sure whether that means she's been getting up every day to get ready or just hasn't changed her pajamas since you put her here. It's work from home, I guess, I don't know. I mean, she's already at home, but you work from your room. You unlock the door with a click. She's immediately alert. You're back. I thought maybe you were gonna leave me in here forever. I'm sorry for acting out before. I shouldn't have disturbed something that you made. Well, this is a surprise. But you doubt she'll learn much from this even if she's trying to make up with you now. You should consider my feelings too, though. It's not about the gift specifically. You know that, don't you? Oh boy. You aren't sure what to do in response to this. She looks ready to burst into tears, and you're still pretty cross with her. It doesn't negate your suspicions, she's only trying to get your sympathy, so you forgive her for acting out. She looks up and around the room expectantly. When nothing happens, she slowly sinks. I see. You don't want to talk about it right now. That's fine. It's fine. Go let Huxley and Wisker know I'm out again. And I suppose talk to Huxley about this. I love you. Please talk to me soon. Nah, it's okay. She actually hurries out of the room, her posture stiff and her expression full of worry. I don't want to play with you anymore. Dumps her into the garbage. Just in case, you stick around to listen in on her and Huxley. You find the conversation already in progress, but their voices are low and hard to hear. Perhaps Dahlia didn't want you to listen in. I just worry that that's the direction this is going. I don't remember it clearly, but I do have mentions in my journal. I don't think it's out of the question that replacement is what they have in mind. Well, I don't know them very well, so I can say that, but when I got here, you tried very hard to tell me how much you trusted them on stuff. Plus,
Don't you think that's kind of an overreaction to a few gifts for me? This house is already full of stuff for you, so it's just common sense that more things will be added for me to balance it out.
You just don't get it. My bond with them is special, so I can tell when they're pulling away.
Well, so what then?
So what?
Yeah, I mean, they put me in here for you, didn't they? It's not like you'd be alone even if they decide to focus their attention on me.
That's not the same.
Oh.
I'm not trying to say I don't like you, Huxley. I like you a lot, you're my friend. But the owner, that's something else different entirely. My friendship with you makes me happy, but you don't give my life purpose. You see, I need to friend zone you. Really hard.
Nobody can do that for you. Nobody can do that for you, Dahlia. I know you think you're made just for them, but here's the thing. You have no purpose. Nobody does. Nobody can give you one. That's the awful truth. You have to get by in life by your own will. Or just spin your wheels like I was when I just gave up. It's your choice. There's no pressure to live for someone else, but there's no drive outside of your own wants. And that's difficult, but it is what it is.
But that can't possibly be right. And how would you know anyway? You spent your whole life just moping around hating what you are. Just because you lack any purpose doesn't mean I do too. I should have known better than to confide in you. You just don't get it because you've never been anyone's favorite.
Well, I'm Whisker's favorite.
Ugh. Disgusting. How can a toy love another toy?
For the second time in just a few minutes, Dahlia storms out of the room, though this time it's clear she's angrier than she is upset. But at the very least, Huxley stood his ground this time. Dahlia looks like she's going to soak over tea in the kitchen, so you feel safe in leaving them alone while you get back to work. That's a horrible idea. As long as she isn't at his throat, she can be mad as she likes. Oh wow. Today, you finished your portrait for Huxley. Rather than draw attention to it, you left it in the foyer for him to find. You're excited to see his reaction. The portrait sits in his frame, resting on the box he arrived in, and that the two have taken to using as a clutter catching table. You didn't think it would be a good idea to hang it since they might feel obligated to keep it wherever you first placed it. You want him and Dahlia to find a good place for it in the house. I don't think Dahlia wants it in the house. Right now, though, Huxley simply stares at it, eyes tracing over the colorful painting. You originally had intended to make it his resting expression, the classic sad clown painting, but you instead decided to base the portrait's expression on the passive smile he often gave, seen in his moments of cautious optimism. You feel it represents him more truly that way. He eventually looks up from the picture, turning his head to look around the ceiling as the toys tended to do when unsure of your presence. You're probably around, right? Tap tap. Right, there you are, Geez, I just realized I don't really know how to talk to you. Especially since I've been avoiding you. You had to have noticed that. Sorry about that, and thanks for this. I really didn't think you care about me at all. Seems to be pretty easy for you to just think of me as some object for your entertainment. But you surprised me. Also, don't think I didn't notice you tried to print me up in this picture. It's an awfully generous take on me. And then, record scratch, music stops. Dahlia steps down the stairs, frowning as she looks at the conspicuous portrait in the foyer. Huxley's initial joviality clears right up at seeing how she's looking at it. Ah, a new picture. There isn't quite room for it down here, though. I suppose if we are to keep it in the attic, we'll have to take down one of my pictures. No, why not huck in the attic, since you don't want to see it anyway? Huxley plays right along with Dahlia's comment rather than trying to placate her. You worry about how that will go over. I don't dislike it, but do you expect me to be excited about it? Though I suppose you're quite pleased with yourself. This is my house, and even I don't have a portrait in it. But you show up, and, well, it's fitting there should be a picture of you here now, and not one of me. Interesting. I wonder how many different types of dialogue it would be if we chose the different ones. Probably, very similar. Well, maybe the owner will give me a miniature violin to play for you next. The world's smallest violin.
Oh, so suddenly you understand my feelings. Or perhaps you already made up your mind about how I should feel and you're just directing me.
You're just trying to get a rise out of me now.
How so? It's the truth. Unless you think everything I do should be about you too. I'm the only one who hasn't been acting that way over you after all, so I would understand your confusion.
Why are you so jealous of me?
Jealous? There's nothing to be jealous of. The owner is only giving you attention because you're a novelty. You're new, and they'll get bored of you.
Shut up. And even if they do, whatever. Whisker's my friend.
I thought you were too, but whatever.
One is plenty for me. At least he cares about me. You never care about anyone but yourself.
Wisker quietly enters the room, having heard the commotion and his name being used. He looks especially worried. That's not true. I care about the owner, or else this wouldn't even matter to me, because they care about me too.
Oh yeah?
What happened to what you said before, about their science being fine of you? They can ignore you all they want as long as they aren't giving attention to anyone else?
You're not sure at all about whether they care about you.
You're worried you're just a toy to them. Because you put all your worth into getting their approval.
You make yourself miserable, Dahlia.
So stop coming up with ways to blame me for that.
Neither of us control what they do. Neither of us can know for sure how they feel. Neither of us can guarantee we're more than just possessions for them. So it's pointless. If you don't want to be my friend, just leave me alone.
You sit in silence for a moment. Is that really how he feels about you? Even after you went out of your way to make him feel welcome? He's right about Dahlia's insecurity, but maybe he's the same. Maybe he just can't quite trust you. You don't like it, but it's hard to completely disregard his point of view. You aren't in the same position at all, and he knows it. Surely he realizes how long you've dealt with Dahlia in her dramatics, though. If you threw out toys every time they were difficult with you, you would never have any. Well, Dahlia returns from the kitchen. How do I find silliest games that turn out to be great or to be gems? I don't know, that's kind of what I do. Well, I mean, it's not really just me. I just kind of find like whatever a lot of other people like, you know. There's a lot of games on itch.io that are basically, you know, little indie games like this. And, you know, I think I saw a lot of people talk about this game. So that's why I decided to try it out. Sometimes I try to find things that are very obscure. But, you know, you never know if it turns out to be really good or like really bad. Because, you know, I mean, especially like indie games, you know, it's just like anyone can make a game. A lot of it is like very, I guess, amateurish. But definitely a lot of really great ones as well. But anyway, Dahlia returns from the kitchen. Huxley. What? What do you want, Dahlia? You really don't understand a thing. You ruin everything. Don't you get it?
Dahlia?
Uh-oh. Here comes the knife. Dahlia holds a kitchen knife in her hand. You know, maybe we shouldn't have like a real, like actual, like sharp knife, you know, in the dollhouse. Oh, too late for that. I was wrong. I can admit that. Wanting friends was wrong. It should have been just us. Even Wisker doesn't need to be here. Wisker is quick to flee. He bumps into the box, knocking the lid open. He uses it for cover.
You're acting nuts. If you want the portrait so bad, just take it. I just don't have anything.
It's better than whatever this is. I don't want the stupid portrait. I just want the things to be like they were. Dahlia, please, you're scaring me. You begin to reach in for Dahlia, but she lunges before you can come even close. You're doing it on purpose. Going on and on about how much it doesn't matter to you, about how you aren't even trying. It just comes so easy to you, doesn't it? While I worry and try to and actually care about what happens, you just mope until everything gets handed to you.
I'm not, please. I'll just go.
I'll ask them to take me out of here. That's not good enough. I'll need to know that you won't come back.
Dahlia!
Stab. Stab. "27 knife wounds. Now, oh no. With the knife swinging, there isn't much you can do but wait. He stopped moving early into the attack. She even tore out his spring and tossed it across the room, not even able to use it to get away. He's barely recognizable as the puppet you chose by the time, he's barely recognizable as the puppet you chose by the time she stands up over him. His rubber head was split right up in the middle and now lays splayed on the ground like open butterfly wings. It's like each half of his face is a mask, each displaying a different emotion held in his final moments. His lining is shredded, his stuffing tossed every which way. He's beyond salvaging. I would say Wisker, you know, the guy from Resident Evil. No, Wisker. You weren't always so bad. I'm so sorry about this. Or, so I'm sorry about this. You step away from the dollhouse. How did things go so wrong so quickly? You need to find something to put Dahlia in. You can't leave her in there, but you don't want her to pick her up while she's acting like this. The knife is the size of an X-Acto blade to you, but you don't doubt she would stick it right through your hand if she gave her the chance. Okay. Assuming she didn't go for a vein instead. You find a jar that should be about the right size and grab a large paintbrush to shove her into it with and return to the dollhouse. Okay. We put her in the jar. You're met with a burning smell and the sight of smoke exiting the windows. You find Dahlia sitting in the attic. In the brief time you were away, she set the room ablaze. How'd she do that? I mean, again, why do we have, like, things to, like, you know, destroy in the house? Like a knife. And I guess matches, maybe? I don't know. You can smell some sort of accelerant. Accelerant? It makes you wonder if she put some thought into this before, about what she would do. It occurs to you to attempt to scoop her into the jar, but the fire is already creeping up to the size of her dress, of her hair. Okay, so okay, we were still in the process of like trying to like put her in the jar maybe, but it was already too late. Okay, we have an option here. Save the game! Save it! We can save her, or we can leave her. Let's leave her first. I mean, we just leave her to her own devices. This is kind of what we did for this entire route, actually. We're literally stonewalling her. Huxley was right in a way. She's in a hell of her own making, and never has it been so clear as now when you see her being taken by the flames. Cracks form from the heat, and her clothes and her hair burn away. You look away. You start to think there was never a possibility of either of you being happy in this arrangement. It's both a punishment and a mercy to let her burn. You leave to grab a pitcher of water for the fire. To scale, it's small and fairly contained. The only damage is to the dollhouse. Still, you move your paint thinners and repair supplies off of your table and spritz down the surface's water to catch any stray embers. And you wait. You don't put out the fire until you're sure she's been reduced to nothing more than porcelain debris. You take some responsibility for the situation. After all, it was your dollhouse. You were in charge of it. But things were clearly beyond any redemption. You're not sure when you'll be up to it, but you'll just have to start over fresh. A new home. Maybe new toys. And you'll be sure your control is known to be undefiable, so this never happens again. Ending 2B. The doll maker, the monster maker. Alright. Well, I kind of maybe did that in the wrong order, but, you know, I kind of want to let her burn first, and then see what happens if I do save her. Because I feel like that's more interesting. Let's save her this time. Just go in, just, you know, grab her real quick. Well, the dollhouse is definitely ruined. Huxley and Wisker are beyond saving. Horrible as she's been, she's the only thing left. You reach into the dollhouse with your tools and scoop the burning doll into the jar. Putting a doll in the jar. I mean, I've seen the memes about that. It's lucky for her that you chose a glass container, or you wouldn't even have the option. You hurry her into the bathroom, the lid held over the jar to try to keep the smoke from escaping. It's not quite enough to smother the fire. You finally bring her to the sink and turn on the faucet, drenching her and filling the container with water. By the time you've done all of this, her cotton clothing had been ruined. Her wool wefted hair has easily burned away. Her paper flowers are only ashes in the water. She's naked and charred and unrecognizable. Naked like Barbie doll. But she's alive. Try as she might to convince you otherwise by sinking motionlessly into the bottom of the jar. You'll have to remake her. The damage is extensive, but she's a monster of your making. You'll breathe new life into her, and hopefully, this time, you'll get it right. Ending 2A. The Princess Ashpuddle? Maybe a reference to something. Okay, well, there you go. Either way, though, the dollhouse kind of burns down and everything and the restart, you know? Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna want to double check, because, I mean, all of those endings are kind of like bad endings, to be honest. Is there even a good ending? 5 CGs. Let me check the gallery. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then some, like, I guess, here? I guess her maybe stabbing him or something, or like ripping him. I don't know. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I see the knife there. All right, that's her. Yeah, stabbing him. We don't really see that. I guess that's just like a draft. Okay, that's the draft too. And then here's the places. Okay, interesting. And yeah, okay, just art. All right. I think that's it. I mean, if the whole gallery is filled, I don't think there's a different ending. Oh, there you go. So I guess that's all the endings. I just double checked, and yeah, that seems to be all there is to it. Yeah, it seems to all kind of end horribly, you know. But I like it. I keep repeating this like 100 times, but I do like it when games start off like little innocuous, little like innocent, and then it just slowly devolves into like murder and violence and death. I don't know. I just find that entertaining to me. Maybe I'm weird. I do like, what's unique about this story. I mean, two things are unique, actually. The first thing is definitely, it's kind of like a twist on the Toy Story thing, right? It's definitely like sentient toys talking to each other, and the idea of them like being abandoned by their owners and all that, it's kind of like, I mean, in a ways, I mean, I don't know. I've always thought about it as like kind of always like a social commentary of like, people buying commodities, and they're just throwing them away and everything. You're just like buying affection, but then, it doesn't really last, right? It's like a critique against capitalism or something. I don't know. But it's kind of like that, that kind of setting. But obviously the twist is that it gets much more violent than actually, what is Toy Story? Who made it? Was it Pixar or was it Disney? I don't remember. It's Disney, right? I don't know. Either one. It's a lot less family friendly, I would say. And that's really cool, actually. They because it's like there is a lot of gore in this game that was drawn, but they're toys, right? So it's not blood and guts, it's like stuffing, but like it's still creepy, right? I like that kind of like I don't know what you call it, but I like that kind of contrast, I guess, that kind of like weird contrast of them, like it's just toys, right? But at the same time, they're being murdered just like people, and it's like super, it's horror, right? It's like super creepy. That was kind of cool. I like the premise of that. And yeah, beyond that, I wish we'd kind of learn more about the player, though. How did they even end up with these sentient toys in the first place? They just like to play around with magic toys? I guess it's just a thing they do. I don't know. I guess that's not super important, but yeah. I do kind of wish there was a bit kind of like a true ending. Maybe not necessarily like a good ending, maybe, but like maybe like learning about what happened to Dahlia, right? Like what happened to all the other toys, and did she kill them too, right? A little bit more light, illuminated on that. It doesn't have to be explained 100% necessarily, because that would take the fun out of the mystery. But I kind of wish we kind of learn more why she became that way, right? it was, I mean, it was implied, right? She wasn't always that way. She wasn't always this weird, like, super yandere doll, I guess. She kind of like got molded into being that way. So, I mean, the real villain really is not really her. It's us in a way, at least the owner. Like, we're playing from the perspective of the villain, So that's kind of cool, actually. But I don't know. I kind of wish there was, again, a true ending, but maybe that's too cliche. I don't know. I kind of want to learn like from a different perspective, maybe, than just simply just watching our toys murder each other. I don't know. But definitely really creepy and cool story, I think. And yeah, I don't know. And I guess that was it for Don't Toy With Me. If you didn't know, if you're on YouTube, I stream these games live on Twitch, so check me out over there if you're interested. I also have other games on the channel, so you can live with those if you want. I play a lot of kind of like horror-ish, kind of like indie games, and also visual novels as well. That are pretty similar. There you go. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you then.